Episode of The Human Angle. We begin today with the story that all lawmakers in the North Central Kaduna State House of Assembly have been ordered to undergo COVID-19 tests. The order also covers all other staff after a positive case was recorded amongst the Assembly staff last week. Speaker Yusuf Zialani gave the directive, which was confirmed by Ali Kalat, Deputy Chairman, House Committee on Health. Kalat further confirmed that some lawmakers have already tested and are free from the virus. However, he did not give details as to how many of them. The Speaker has given directives that the entire workforce of the Assembly should be subjected to coronavirus tests, and the exercise is still ongoing at the Assembly, he said. Going forward, we have to surrender ourselves for testing so that we will be sure that the entire members of the Assembly and its workforce are COVID-19 negative. All staff have converged for the exercise and it is ongoing. After the exercise, we will close and wait for further directives from the executive. Currently, there are 22,020 confirmed cases, 13,865 active cases, 7,613 recoveries, and 542 number of deaths in the nation. The Ekiti State government has raised the alarm over possible community spread of COVID-19 in Ekiti State if people continue to defy guidelines put in place by the government. This came as a result of the startling and disturbing revelations from the 153 samples screened at the newly inaugurated molecular laboratory. Commissioner for Health, Dr. Mojisola Yayakolade, spoke in Ado-Ekiti yesterday while giving an update on the COVID-19 situation, disclosed that a total of 505 samples have been taken and tested since March 19th, when the state recorded the first patient. Reeling out the statistics of work done at the molecular laboratory, Yayakolade said out of 246 samples taken, 153 results have already been screened. 142 were negative, while 11 were positive. Our fear is the possibility of community spread in Ekiti because we cannot trace all the contacts, and the present statistics reveal that we have 7.189%, which is the highest in recent time. Yayakolade stated that the real community testing has not started, but added that the recent percentage was high enough to inform the state to take caution and prepare for any eventuality. The commissioner said out of the 11 positive patients, 8 are on admission at the isolation center. Our people should endeavor to use sanitizers and hand-washing soap. With the way things are going, nobody knows when this COVID-19 will end, and occasional inexplicable death may happen. And when it happens, we must report to any of the health facility around us. Let all our people in the community allow the medical officers to take samples so that we can know the exact status of Ekiti and how best to prepare ahead. Also, the coordinator of the COVID-19 task force in Ekiti State, Professor Bolaji Aluko, added that since March 19th, when Ekiti had the first case, only 35 COVID-19 cases had been reported due to proactive actions taken by the government. Aluko stated that owing to the suspicion that there could be possible breakout of community spread of the disease, there was need to tighten security at borders to checkmate incursions and influx of people from neighboring states. We need to fortify our borders despite that not all the cases we have had were true border incursion through the 17 border towns that we have in Ekiti. The guidelines for burial remain intact and night curfew still in operation. Our people must also observe social and physical distancing and comply with the rule that not more than 20 people should be present in any social gathering. The fact that we fear community spread makes all the rules to be mandatorily obeyed. It is not only in Ado-Ekiti but across the state. Aluko stated that the government is also planning to relocate some traders in the Ado-Ekiti metropolis to Agric Olope markets to decongest the neighborhood markets at Okenyimi, Ivona, Adere, Awedele, and other areas for strict adherence to social distancing rule. The federal government has rolled out conditions schools and learning institutions in the country must meet before reopening. The conditions are contained in a 30-page document submitted to the Senate by the Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, for their information. The document, titled Guidelines for Schools and Learning Facilities Reopening After COVID-19 Pandemic Closure, described the conditions as key strategies for implementing safe, efficient, and equitable plans for school reopening and operations. The minister, in his foreword to the document, noted, given that COVID-19 may be with us for a while, the guidelines also highlight the urgent need to maintain and improve upon distance learning programs. He added the guidelines were drafted in close coordination with health, environmental, education, and school safety experts who were tasked with the responsibility of charting a pathway for safely reopening schools and learning facilities for quality teaching and learning. A major plank of the conditionalities is that schools must create immediate temporary COVID-19 isolation spaces before they can be considered to reopen. Schools are also mandated to ensure establishment of a school COVID-19 referral system, including protocols and procedures to take if learners, teachers, administrators, and other educational personnel become unwell while in schools. Schools are also to establish and adequately equip dispensaries and clinics as appropriate. Bearing last-minute change, the Oyo State government has modified the resumption of schools slated for June 29. According to the new arrangement, only teachers are to resume on June 29th, while students in terminal classes resume a week later. The government had earlier directed all terminal classes, including Primary 6, Junior Secondary School 3, and Senior Secondary School 3, to resume on June 29th, ahead of preparations for their various exams. The change in plans became imperative in view of a latest expert report which indicated the non-readiness of schools in terms of meeting the various government protocols. France's iconic Eiffel Tower has opened again to guests after its longest closure since World War II. But the Paris monument isn't returning to normal operations just yet. Visitor numbers will be limited, face coverings mandatory for anyone aged over 11, and everywhere above the second floor will be closed to the public. To soak in the sights of the capital, guests will also have to use the stairs since lifts are out of use until the 1st of July. The tower, completed in 1889, hosts around 7 million visitors every year, approximately 3/4 of them from abroad. COVID-19 has had a quantum impact on Nigeria's agricultural sector, as lockdowns, whether partial or full, have led to disruptions in the agricultural supply chain and created problems for small and large farm holders across the various states. Interstate transportation disruptions and upward price adjustments have led to commodity price hikes and lower consumer demand after a point of inelasticity, creating what economics prefer to call a King's demand curve. Travel restrictions, the closure of land borders, and the requirement of social distancing have combined to place both demand and supply chokeholds on farm-grade products. The temporary lockdown in some states in Nigeria has harmed farming and agriculture generally. The restrictions in the movement of goods and people have affected farmers' productivity, as labor shortage has been a major issue in limited productive capacity and sales. Transport restrictions and quarantine measures have impeded farmers' access to markets. Access to inputs such as fertilizers has also faced problems. For example, the lockdown in China severely affected international fertilizer trade. The latest statistics released by NBS reveals that the agricultural sector grew by 2.20% in the first quarter of 2020 from 2.31% in the fourth quarter of 2019 and 3.17% in the first quarter of 2019. The major driver of the sector was crop production, which grew by 2.38% in the first quarter of 2020. Other subsector activities in the agricultural sector, which are livestock, forestry, and fishing, grew by 0.63%, 1.71%, and 1.49% respectively. Going forward, if the coronavirus persists, it is expected that the agricultural sector will experience slow growth in the remaining quarters of the year on the backdrop of slow growth in sub-activities, which include the crop production, livestock, forestry and fishery, while a recovery is expected to set off in the fourth quarter of 2020. And that will be all for this edition of The Human Angle. You can send in your pictures and videos to news@polshareng.com or programs@polshareng.com and let's share your experience and views. Visit our website www.polshareng.com to get more updates from our news stories and videos. Also follow our social media platforms shown on the screen for further updates on our market reports. See you tomorrow. Thank you for watching and please keep staying safe.